CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates for Children. We work with community volunteers who serve as the eyes and the ears of the court.
There are a lot of professionals that enter into one of these kinds of cases, and they all have their own particular agenda. They have defense attorneys, we have attorneys for the children, we have mental health professionals, psychologists, psychiatrists, therapists. Everyone has their own agenda, and rightfully so. The only person that doesn't have someone that has only their agenda is the child or the children. And that's the job of the guardian ad litem, to act as the court's investigator, if you will, to talk to all the parties that are involved, to come up with an idea of what is in the best interest of the child or the children that are in that case.
I remember back in the old days before we had CASAs, and since that time, CASAs have helped our cases go so much more efficient. We really know what's going on with the parents. We really know what's going on with the children. When I was county attorney before I became a judge, and when I would prepare, and I represented the department, when I would prepare my court orders, we looked at the CASA report because it was quick, it was concise, it was to the point, and we knew that the CASA people were on it, and they had the most current, up-to-date information. They had contact with the parents, with the children, with the service providers like counselors, therapists, and so I place, the CASA goes last in the testimony, you know, and something you said, we have two parents. Sometimes we have two lawyers. Sometimes we have 5 lawyers, because sometimes we have multiple kids and multiple fathers. So, but CASA always testifies last, and they're always subject to cross-examination, but I usually save the best for last to be able to hear the real scoop from the CASA volunteers.
I received a removal affidavit, paperwork about a new case, and it was a 26-day-old infant who had a fracture in her arm and broken ribs. And that's not a situation that is accidental. And so I spoke to my coworkers in the office, trying to figure out which volunteer we really needed to put on that case that's gonna appreciate and understand the seriousness. I mean, all of our cases are serious, but when we have an injury to a child, that's escalated.
Take us back a little bit, if you would, about 12 months ago, and tell us how this whole thing started, how this whole change to your life began.
Okay, well, I got involved with the CPS case because I was with a horrible man who hurt my daughter. He broke her arm and cracked 2 of her ribs. He also was a very bad influence to me as well. I was influenced to do things like drugs, and so it was just kind of a bad situation altogether. After he hurt the baby is when CPS came into my life.
When you and I first met, it was at a family group conference. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And do you remember that you had indicated at that group conference that you hadn't been doing drugs, hadn't done drugs in a long time, and you weren't going to do drugs, and then on that same day, the results of a hair follicle test came back.
Yes.
And they came back positive. It occurred to me that probably this was not going to work out for you, which makes what happened afterwards all the more inspiring, because it was just an inspiring story. So after that, and after the word about your hair follicle test came back, I watched you do the things you've just said that you've done. I watched you enroll in NA and AA. I know that you spent a lot of time at the Mom Center, a lot of time there, and used them as a resource. I know that therapy was part of your service plan, and I know that you engaged and embraced therapy. You did all the right things. Can you tell me how CASA figured into this whole event?
CASA works in by being kind of the voice of the court and of the children. They come in, they check on everything with random visits. Not only to my house, but when she was in foster care, you also checked up on her at the foster parents' house, which is nice because I hadn't met them, and you had come to me and told me, that those people were nice, that you would feel, they were lovely people, and so it kind of made me feel safe knowing that you were not only visiting me, you were also visiting Tiana, and kind of being a connection between me and her, between us and the court. And it's nice because I had no other means of that type of connection.
That's hard because as the case is heading towards the end and we know that there's a positive outcome, our involvement slowly dwindles and we kind of just fade into the background. I mean, this work isn't about us. It's not about the volunteers. It's not about me. It's not about our staff. It's about making sure that the children are safe and that they have the permanency that they need to be good, whole people, to be good, whole people without abuse or neglect coloring their life. And so celebrating the outcomes, the positive outcomes, we know that we did right by a child. We know that we can look to that case and know that we've been successful and hold that kind of in our pocket for when things don't go right or don't go the way that we want them to go.
I have volunteered all of my life, all of my adult life, sometimes at the behest of corporations, sometimes as a consultant to corporations. I've always volunteered. I've never, ever, ever volunteered and had the feeling that I had the first time I took a case, doing this 17 years ago. And I knew then that this is what I wanted to do. And this is the only thing I've done since then, and I've done a lot of it.